To order. First item, approval of July 1st building committee minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2, facilities update, Mr. Toddy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. If you just bear with me for a moment. I'm having technical difficulties.
While you bring that up, Dave, I just want to say, I wish we had video of when the sprinklers went off. Because I think it would have been something to see. I think it would have been a sight.
For those that didn't hear the story, Mrs. Stevens and I were texting back and forth. The irrigation system went off on Bandcamp.
Oh, no.
Through a series of texts back and forth, I had no idea who I was texting with. I had made the assumption it was Ron Goodwin, because I don't have the phone number. It just came up as a number, so I was talking as if it were someone else. I was very surprised tonight to learn who I was actually talking to.
He was very nice.
But I'm told that the students enjoyed the adventure and the excitement of it.
So cool down?
We
Well,
might
it was
have
9 o'clock at night, so it was already
Crackers, yeah.
cool. But
we might have something planned for the football team later.
Share the fun. The sun's crumpet's dry now.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, take 2. Hi, everyone. Facilities update. I'm going to start with cleaning, and I'm just going to let that picture speak for itself. I don't think I have to say a lot more than that. I was looking for a diving board when I walked into the cafeteria at the middle school. So cleaning, we've been engaged in a lot of deep cleaning, stripping and waxing, our usual summertime stuff, a lot of which has been put off because of the pandemic, so we're really getting into it. We're about 70% complete now, which is great. We're on target for being complete, and we're ready to welcome students back at the magnet school sooner than that. The grounds crew has been trying to mow in between raindrops, which you can imagine has been challenging. They've also, I've heard me several times talk about 20,000 pieces of furniture. 20,000 pieces of furniture got moved around because of COVID. 20,000 pieces of furniture got hidden. That furniture is, to some extent, not full bore, but to some extent making its way back into the classrooms. And the grounds crew has been instrumental in that process. Maintenance crew, you saw in personnel committee, we have an open position that we're still interviewing for. In addition to that, the maintenance work, we rented another lift at the cost, another lift rental at the cost of $2,000. And with that, we were able to complete some painting on the light poles at the middle school. And we were able to take care of some HVAC work at the middle school that we would have had to hire a crane for otherwise. And we brought it over to Gonick, and on the old part of the building, there's a giant vent right at the top center of that roof, and that's starting to rot. We're able to get in close and do some inspection. We realize that we need to replace it now, and we'll be able to do that in this lift rental period, so that will be taken care of. So just kind of tracking lift rentals for you folks. Additionally, we built a shed around the new irrigation pumps at the high school. That's what this next slide is. This building will be painted, and the fence repairs are actually coming Monday to finish up the fence repairs. What you're seeing is a work in progress. But this will go a long way to keeping, a lot of the pipe is PVC, and we had put paint on it to protect it from UV, but really we want to protect it more than that. We want to keep it away from any curious hands or band sunlight, and this shed will achieve that. So it's a nice addition to what we have here. Spalding High School band and chorus floor. Take a moment of your time and talk about, as you probably all know, the band and chorus area at Spalding High School used to be the gym. And the gym floor is a parquet floor. a design of floor that was popular 1860 to 1890. It's actually a mill floor. It was designed for heavy mill pieces of equipment. Speaking with several floor restoration people and my sports floor people, they're very surprised to see that kind of floor in a gym. They've all seen the floor before. No one's ever seen one in a gym before, so I thought that was interesting. When I first started here 7 years ago, we were having a very small problem with a hump would appear in the lobby when you first walk into band and chorus area. You've got a choice to go into the administrator's office, band, chorus, or storage, and there's a little lobby right there, and that floor right in that lobby would hump up. It would happen in the summer, in the wettest months, when the humidity is very high, and usually by the time the students return, by September, November, things start to dry out, it would flatten back out. That problem has been getting worse as time goes on, and I have a theory as to why. Well, first let's look at the construction of this floor. This is a piece of the floor that we tore out. Underneath what you see in my hand here, there's a 3/4 inch sleeper. Then there's a 3/4 inch piece of base wood with the grain going horizontally. And on top of that is 2-inch blocks of wood with the grain going vertically. There is 3 different directions. There's X, Y, and Z. You couldn't have more directions of different grain trying to do different things when it expands and contracts because of moisture. Please remember the Grand Canyon. Moisture is going to do whatever it wants to do to this wood. It's going to tear it up. It's going to move it whenever it wants to. The whole entire floor was designed to float and to move, and sometime 20 years plus ago, we built walls on top of that floor, and we put a ton of weight into those walls, and we shot those walls down into the concrete below. We pinched it all down tight, and we said, you're not going to move. And the floor took that for a little while, but the moisture won. That force working back and forth. I believe the reason the problem is getting worse is the grain of this wood is finally failing, because it's expanded and contracted so many times. So the floor is in a state of failure right now. It got so bad in the lobby area that the doors could no longer open and close. That becomes a life safety egress issue, so we had to perform an emergency floorectomy. And you can see here, this is you can see the curve and the hump in the floor, and that's not even the worst part of it. So that floor has been completely torn out and replaced. We're waiting for the finished product to go down, and that will be all set. Since then, the hump has moved. There's now an enormous hump in band. And there's the new floor in the lobby. So the picture on the left, if you look at the back wall, you can see some vertical lines. There's some sound attenuating panels in black. There's a grate up in the top right corner, and there's a pipe for fire suppression. All of those lines go straight up and down. The flag is sitting on the side of the hump. You could see the deflection in the flag. In fact, I had to haul the PV base amp over to hold the base of the flag because the hump is so pronounced that the flag would have fallen over. It wouldn't stand up by itself. It's a big hump. It does not impede any egress on any doors. It will go flat when the moisture comes down. I'll also take a moment to remind you this has been the second wettest July in the history of July. That's really had a lot to do with how big this problem has become. The kids thought the sprinkler was fun. They loved the hump. There's all kinds of fun to be had on this. The picture on the right is kind of interesting. You can see that was a post where you would drop a volleyball net in the original floor. You still see these in modern gym floors. But what's really neat about it to me is there's a cork ring around it and then the floor structure. The cork ring is there because the people that put it in knew the floor is going to move. The floor moves. That's why the cork is there. The anchor for the volleyball post was never going to move. But they knew the floor was going to move. So they designed it to take that. We have a plan for some mitigation to try to make perimeter cuts. Probably something we do after the floor relaxes, possibly Christmas break. We might try to get in there then if it's flat and if we can find funding for it. But we're looking at probably $10,000 or $15,000 to make perimeter cuts, install some vents, and then cover those with some type of a vented cove base. It will allow moisture to move, it will allow air to move onto the floor, allow moisture to vent out without trying to go through the wood, and it will allow the wood place to move if it needs to. If that doesn't work, and there's no guarantee, if that doesn't work, we're talking about a complete demo and rehab of the entire space. All the walls, everything comes out, down to cement, rebuild it. Now we're at $500,000 or $600,000, it's a CIP fix, probably 2 or 3 years out. So stay tuned, we're working with the floor. I can take a moment and pass this around. This is just gorgeous, it's so lovingly put together. The bottom course of wood is broken now because we used big tools to get it out, but there's dovetails that hold the bottom course into the top course. It's all dovetailed together. And then the top course on the side, you'll see here, that's all splined together. There's 10,000 man-hours into that floor. It's really lovingly and amazingly done. It's a beautiful floor. So hopefully we can save it and keep it around for another 70 or 80 years.
That'd be great.
While you're passing that around, I'll move on to some paving projects that were completed at School Street and the middle school paving. We'll talk some more about line striping shortly, but both of those projects are completed and they look great. Spalding High School paving is underway. What you see here is the paving's been stripped and removed. We had been on schedule to put binder coat down tomorrow and top coat on Monday. Rain, again, has delayed everything. We're now looking at binder coat on Monday and top coat on Tuesday. This is the machine that grinds up the pavement and removes it when you do a full demo. And I just wanted to share this picture with you because they broke one of the teeth, so they had a welder working on the machine while it was there, which gave me an opportunity to crawl underneath the machine and give you a picture of what the teeth look like. That's what grinds up that pavement. Boy, that thing is crazy. Each one of those teeth is the size of a football. I mean, yeah, I want one too. They're just, well, you could, yeah. Yeah, you can remove some floors with this.
You get $500,000.
Yeah. We managed to complete a rehab of the paint on the east tower. That's Wakefield Street side at the high school, and we're paying for this out of CIP exterior paint lines, cash CIP, and we're moving over to the main tower with some repairs that will be taken care of there. William Allen School Playground. Demo and site work is complete. Picture on the dirt pile you see in both pictures is the same dirt pile. The picture on the right you see is the footprint of where the playground used to be. That's where a retention pond will be. And to the left of the dirt pile, that's the new playground surface. The equipment was delivered today. We weren't anticipating it until Monday. Surprise, we got a phone call. They said, hey, it's a half hour away. So it was a good surprise. We have that in hand now, and we'll start installation as soon as we can. Here's just another view. The rock work on the right is all new. The gravel in the foreground is now paved, all new, and you can see the raised playground is a little bit higher than it used to be. If you look over here, you can see we brought everything up, and the grade you see here is actually 12 inches below final grade, allowing for 12 inches of 5R or bark mulch fall protection in the playground equipment. So we're making great progress at William Allen School. Gonic Electric. We are waiting to receive the main switch. Hopefully it will be in tomorrow. When the switch gets here, we will schedule a 3-day shutdown next week or the following week. The main switch is going to occupy this large cabinet that you see on the right here. This will actually get turned and stand upright. And most of what you see in the back here is going to go away. The branch circuits are almost all complete. And after we do the changeover, then we'll go back and pull out all the old wire once everything live gets hottened up. But we are well on track to being exactly where we want to be with Gonic Electric. Gonic Asbestos, we are also on track. We got the all clear. That took some doing. It was a little bit more work than was originally thought. There will probably be a change order there around some insulation that we weren't anticipating having to remove. We didn't have to remove it because it was asbestos insulation. We had to remove it because the insulation, when we tore the ceiling out, got impregnated with asbestos dust, and we just couldn't get it clean. So it had to come out. It's being replaced now. You can see the new grid for the new suspended ceiling going in. You can see some new ductwork. If you've got a great eye, you can see new fire suppression. one of the things about putting the suspended ceiling in, you used to have a hard ceiling with fire suppression that went under it, sprinkled it down. You put a suspended ceiling in, you've now created a void between the wooden deck and the ground. So now your fire suppression system needs to sprinkle down and up. So we're taking care of both of those spaces. Everything's on track to be out of there complete, get the kids back into school. Spalding High School auditorium improvements. The fabric for the drapes has been received. It's being sewn now. As soon as that's complete, we will schedule installation. Very excited about electric drapes in that space because those drapes have been quite nice for quite some time. I also, we took advantage of the time to rebuild the risers on either side of the stage, exactly in kind. The only difference is these have been structurally engineered, and next time I see a show and there's 70 kids dancing in unison on those stairs, I will no longer be terrified that they're going to collapse, because I will know that they are not. And that's all I have for facilities update. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Does anyone have any questions for me? Go ahead.
Work orders? Come on,
Oh,
ends it
work
every
orders.
day with work orders.
Work orders. Do you have my notes?
I do.
Can I have them? I actually left them in my desk, so I can send them to
I'll do this, I'll lend you my computer.
Jerry and I are going to be quite a team. Work orders for the period of July 2nd to August 4th. Completed 105 work orders. That's just down from 114 the previous reporting period. We created 95 new work orders, which was down from 102 in the previous reporting period. Gives us now a close ratio of 1.11 to 1, down ever so slightly from 1.12 to 1. And we now have opened 127 work orders, down from 135 last time I spoke to you folks. There you go, sir. Thank you very much.
So well.
Is there any other questions for Jerry? Well,
Dave, the retention pond at William Allen, you said next to the playground, when is that going to be constructed?
likely next summer. The city has not, the work, so we're responsible for putting in the playground, the demo and the site work. The city did as part of their MS4 stormwater permitting project.
Okay.
That hasn't been fully bid out yet, so the city jumped in to help us to get this work done ahead of schedule, which was great. They really supported us on that. They're gonna now get through the rest of their process, and probably next summer that work will be completed.
And then will the area be sprayed for bugs, pesticide? Will it be sprayed to eliminate bugs?
In the retention pond,
Yeah, in that area.
we will wait and see what kind of a problem we have. I'm not a huge fan of chemicals. If we have a big problem, then yes, we're gonna need to do something. Absolutely.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Item 3, seal coating and line painting bid.
So just to remind everyone what this project is for, with the 3 new pieces of pavement, we have the Spalding High School teachers lot, the back road behind the middle school, which goes all the way up to the out road, including the drop off from McClellan, and the School Street School parking lot. Those 3 facilities are going to need to be striped and painted, new paint to replace what was there. East Rochester School is, that pavement's in good shape still. It's not failing. I want to keep it that way. So we're going to do a seal coating project on all that pavement, which will then require new line painting. So we bid out all of it together, and this will change a little bit. These are kind of rough numbers. They were taken from a Google Earth view spreadsheet. So we're, as the project changes, as we get into it, and we're speaking with the principals about, hey, maybe you want to make a change now to your drop-off. This is the time to do it. So we'll accommodate all of that sort of thing as we move into it. So it was put out to, through the bid process, 4 bidders were invited, plus whoever else picked it up off the website. 3 responded. The low bidder, Property Innovation, you can see they're quite a bit lower. And when I called them to discuss the number, they had not realized that 3 of the parking lots were new pavement. Going to paint over old lines is different than having to lay out new lines, right? It's a different project. So he's asked he's withdrawn his bid, which leaves us with a low bid of spots on lots paving, $15,770. We've worked with Spots on Lots before for the past 2 summers with our crack sealing, and they've done a lot of work for us. I have every confidence that they can get this done appropriately in a timely fashion. In fact, I met with the owner, Ed, this morning. We were walking parking lots looking at it. So, cash CIP line 22106 has a balance of $73,141. I'm asking the board to approve Spots on Lots pavement markings in the amount of $15,770 for the seal coating and line painting bid.
Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Great, any discussion? Paul?
I'm assuming, how far away are we from getting the teacher's lot done?
The pavement will be done weather dependent by Tuesday.
Oh, okay, so we're not worried about having enough time to
I'm
get this.
not worried about the teacher's lot, I'm more worried about the seal coating at East Rochester. Don't let the principal know. Just in time frame, that one's, there's more work there, and there's more phasing to keep the building functioning while we're doing that work.
I just want to make sure
We're on track, we're looking good.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add that I'm glad that we're able to work with a local company for the project. That's great, to keep the money local. All right, next, so we have to vote, that's right.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. Next item, number 4, infield grooming machine bid.
Okay, again, to remind everybody where this money is to replace a 27-year-old machine. The 3 machines you see in the picture are not 27-year-old machines, they are brand new machines. We are not buying 3 machines, we're buying 1. It will be very similar to the machine pictured in the foreground. It's a machine designed for golf course, bunker maintenance, infields, sports fields. Its job is where grass meets sand. And it does an admirable job of it. So we wrote a spec, put it out to bid, advertised it, and had 1 respondent, Turf Products Incorporated, is a Toro dealer. The bonded CIP line 22401, field equipment, has a balance of $30,000. Turf Products bid came in at $29,656.25. I'm asking the board to approve Turf Products in that amount for that purchase. And that equipment, if we order it now, we will see it maybe at Christmas. This is something we'd be looking to have in service for the spring sports. We'll get ahead of baseball and softball.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid of $29,656.25.
Second.
No, second.
Discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Toddy, is this trailerable? Is it only going to be for the high school campus, or we're going to try to use it for the middle school?
This is fully trailerable. It's a small, yeah, we have 2 trailers that are more than capable of moving this piece of equipment.
Okay. Thank you.
Will this allow you to not have to manually rip out any of the growth inside the infields?
That
such
is
as
the
middle
hope.
school?
That is the intent of the machine. It does edging and weed removal. As you get into some of the more, in years where we let things get overgrown, the pandemic stuff, you may still need to be out there doing some hand. And when you get into the really tight around the base, you may still be doing some hand stuff. But hopefully we've seen our last pandemic for my lifetime, and we will be ahead of it. We won't have that kind of growth again.
Any other questions? Call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item. Exterior joint sealant bid.
Exterior joint sealant bid. This is work for the high school, and remind people what we're doing. In this picture, you can see the tech center before the renovation. It's none of the tech center that's part of the renovation, so any of the old exposure on the tech center, any of those windows and doors and expansion joints. It's the new gym area at the high school, and it's the new, what I call the water wing, some people call it the science wing at the high school, the cafeteria and art room, this section down here. It's none of the old 1939 structure. And what we're doing is same work we did at the middle school last year. We're doing windows and expansion joints, where that product fails after a while, allows water infiltration, which wreaks havoc with the masonry, so we're trying to stay ahead of that. And there are, if any of you remember a leak right in the beautiful new lobby of the tech center, that is old caulking on old windows above that was causing that. This is the solution to that leak and many other leaks that have not yet happened. We advertised and bid this out, and we had one respondent. I have the bonded CIP line 22102 is titled Spalding High School Credit Technology Caulking. The balance in that line is $110,000. Streamline waterproofing, this is the same company that did the work at the middle school last year. They came in at $98,528. And they stand ready to execute immediately, so we're hoping to get this done. And probably they would still be working on it when students return, but it's all outside and minimally invasive. But they're ready to start on this now to be done before snow flies. So I'm asking the board to approve streamline waterproofing and caulking in that amount to be charged to that line.
I'll make a motion. Sorry.
Okay. Any discussion?
They did such a good job with those. I had a lot of questions last time, so
Okay.
now I'm more familiar.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Next item, comprehensive pest management services bid.
I think you heard me talk last month about the game of whack-a-mole. Just kind of how we've dealt with pest management. We get a problem, we respond to it. Our custodial staff plays mousetraps, but we haven't really had an overarching comprehensive pest management in all of the kitchens at all of the schools. And that's what we're seeking to bring in. So this agreement will cover not everything in the world, but what was called out is flies, both large and small. There's two kinds of flies. Well, there's a lot of kinds, but they kind of fall into those two categories. Rodents, anything in the rodent family, and ants. We have a couple of different kinds of ant problems. When you live on as much sand as we in Norway Plains do, you can end up with ants coming up from the ground. So this service will cover all of that. We had 3 bidders that responded to an RFP and walked and asked questions and visited every square inch of every kitchen. The low price is a good deal lower, and I spoke with them at length about my concerns that how much less they were than their competitors. They're not concerned. They feel that they can do this work at that price. Rentokil is a large company. I'm sure you've probably seen their trucks on the road. This is a 3-year agreement. The total cost for Rentokil is $17,730, which is around $5,900 a year. They feel confident they can do it. They've got a proven track record. I'm happy to give them a try. And so they will come twice a month. They'll come every 2 weeks, but they will only visit half the kitchens each visit. So every school will get touched once a month. And if there are an outbreak, an infestation of any of those listed pests, in between, they come within 48 hours guaranteed response, and there's no additional billing for that because it should be covered as part of their agreement. So that's one of the other things we've been struggling with. If you have a problem, especially in a school kitchen, I want response now. I don't want to be told I can't come for a week. We just can't work that way. And these people are big enough, and they're guaranteed 48-hour response, and they said it's usually quicker than that for their contract customers. So I'm asking the board to, and this will be paid out of an operating budget. I've already spoken it over with Linda, and we feel that we can handle the burden of this expense. And spoken it over, is that actually a phrase? It is now.
I wouldn't know the difference.
So I'm asking the board to approve AirLink, which is Rentokil North America, for a 3-year contract for comprehensive pest management services for $17,730.
Do you have a motion?
Make a motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Question?
This is a new program, new to us. We're a new customer. It's a 3-year contract. Is there any contingency that says we have to buy it out or pay it out if we decide it's not a working partnership?
What I have is a bid. I don't actually have a contract document, but I would not sign a contract. I would not ask you to sign a contract if it did. So when we get to drawing up documents, we will have severability and we will have cancellation clauses.
Just want to make sure we have,
Typical.
if it's new, I get nervous about.
Sure. Typical, what I would look to as acceptable in a contract is 30 days from either party.
Thank you.
Mine was just making sure there's termination for cause in the contract, but if they can't perform services, if they're going to fix it, otherwise, same idea.
You have another?
Nope.
No.
That's it.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next item. Air quality improvement project bid.
Okay, so, helping refresh your memory, this is a project we bid out sort of on the model of one of the ESCO type energy saving projects that we've done in the past. We did 3 of them in the past in this district, and we partnered with Honeywell each time. We followed a similar design build that we're hiring a partner to come review our schools, determine our needs, make recommendations. And the funding for this, what we're looking at is ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 grants. So we've submitted and received conceptual approval from the Department of Education for all of this work, partially from ESSER 2 and partially from ESSER 3. And now we're at the point where we want to choose a partner and start getting some design work done. 2 respondents, Honeywell and EEI. And I'm recommending EEI. In a previous committee meeting, you heard Mr. Lynch say change is hard. And it is, but change is also good. I think it's probably time for a change in this area. EEI is, I can't tell you how well recommended they come to us. I spoke with the person that does all of the public buildings at school and city for the city of Manchester. He gushes about them. I talked to the director of facilities for Portsmouth, who's a licensed engineer. He gushes about them. The only ESSER-funded project actually happening in New Hampshire now is happening in Somersworth, and EEI was instrumental in getting that work across the finish line and breaking ground on that construction. So they come really highly recommended. They're a New Hampshire-based company, and I'm recommending that we partner with EEI for this project.
I trust you. I'll make a motion to go with the,
Second.
I have a question.
Sir?
Was
Did
this-
you second?
Brian did.
Oh.
That happened this time. Was this the firm that helped you with refunds on a previous project?
I've not worked with this firm before.
That was a different firm.
Yeah. But this firm does a lot of work in-house, and they not only do HVAC controls, they do mechanical systems, and they do general contracting. They're a single, yeah, they don't sub out. They're a kind of a,
turnkey solution.
yes, sir.
Good.
It's kind of nice having accountability, not having a contractor to contractor.
I have a question. Would there be, I know we were so involved with Honeywell,
Yes, ma'am.
and we have been for years.
Yes,
Is there going to be any conflict with the work done by EEI with the Honeywell systems that we have in place, or?
Largely, what I hope to achieve with this project is to replace the Honeywell systems that we have in place. The Honeywell platform that handles our building automation now has its XL 5000 series controllers. They've aged out of their useful life expectancy. Honeywell can no longer support the Honeywell equipment in our buildings.
Okay.
The front end, or the operating system above that, is a product called EVI. It's a Honeywell product. It can incorporate anybody's controls, not just Honeywell. But I hope to replace that as well as part of this. So we're looking to move that in a different direction. And one of the things that I personally chafe at in controls industry is all of our HVAC, all of our building automation controls speak one of 2 languages. There's BACnet and there's LawnWorks, and both of those were written and designed as shareware. They were supposed to be free to everyone. They were written with the idea we're going to better society by creating this and create a way for our buildings to work better for the people in it. And then all the big manufacturers used the free software and locked it all down. They made everything proprietary. They put one line of code in that if you're not Honeywell, you can't work on a Honeywell controller. If you're not Johnson, you can't work on a Johnson controller. And we started with the build out at the tech center was kind of a test balloon for me to bring in open protocol controls, which anyone can work on. So we get an open protocol control system. We're no longer joined at the hip for 20 or 30 years to a single contractor. Well, I'm happy with the service. I'm gonna hire a contractor because I like the service, not because they're the only person that can work on the equipment that I bought.
Okay. No, it makes
Is that-
sense. That's
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Roger,
Go ahead, Matt.
so there's no dollar amount to this bid, it's simply they have the ability to service us until they do a project.
There is a dollar amount with this bid, and that dollar amount was zero. Both Honeywell and EEI offered to step up and do, it's what they call an investment grade audit of our systems and to look at what we have and what it will cost to upgrade. And they both offered to do that at no charge. In the past, we've looked at energy projects, you do all the design work, and if we back out, we're on the hook for $80,000 worth of engineering. Both Honeywell and EEI said, we're gonna come do the engineering, if you back out, you backed out.
Cool. Paul?
Can you give us a general consensus scope? Like, are you talking about all the air controls at all the schools, or are you targeting something specific?
Yeah, I'm talking about all of the controls at all of the schools in step one. Additionally, we're talking about this air quality improvement. So we're looking to get the controls where we can provide better ventilation in classrooms. A lot of what we found and learned through COVID is that we had not necessarily a control system as much as we had an energy conservation system. It's very easy for me to close dampers based on my controls. That's the whole thing, was built to shut off air. When I wanted to crank the air up, it became, the system didn't know how to do it. So it took a lot of programming to get around that.
Okay.
So additionally, we're replacing, there's controls, there's ventilation, there's end-of-life infrastructure that we're looking to address primarily at the high school, the McClellan School, and the middle school. And the other piece of it is we're looking at some form, and there's a lot of them out there, of needlepoint bipolar ionization or far UV. These are all the products that kind of came flooding out at the beginning of COVID, the magic bullet cures. I still remain dubious about all of them, but we're certainly going to look hard at them with this grant money to find, if we find a solution that we believe works and will keep our staff and students safe, we will deploy it as part of this project.
Great.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
So,
have to vote.
do we have to vote on it, even though it was zero? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment? Anything under other? Of course.
You got one too?
I do. All right, you can go first.
Wow, oh, you're going to be other?
I'm gonna be, I'm somebody's other every time, you're fine.
I'll be other, you can be other. So we put out an RFQ for an architect, and I just wanted to give this committee an update on that. And I'm prepared to make a recommendation tonight. We could discuss it here, we could continue the discussion in 5-year, we could continue the discussion in full board, or we can table it till next month, but I just wanted to let you all know where we are. So, we put out an RFQ for an architect, and if you remember, we were looking at the possibility of the return of building 8 and the timeline for what a project might look like. We still don't know what the project is. There's possibly a new school from the ground up. There were discussions about additions to schools. We know that the objectives are to eliminate modulars. We know that there's some infrastructure problems in schools. We've heard the perennial complaint about consolidation. So all of that stuff needs to get evaluated and weighed and looked at, and you folks and hopefully soon a joint building committee will begin making decisions on that kind of thing. So the architect RFQ, we had 7 respondents. From that, we had 4 interviews Mr. Rapucci and I sat down and we spent time with each one of these contractors, H.L. Turner, Harriman, LaValle Brensinger, and Banwell. And at this time, I'm going to recommend that we proceed with Banwell Architects. And maybe, I know you've heard the name LaValle Brensinger for many years on many projects. Banwell is a New Hampshire-based architecture firm with 50 years of experience. They've done schools all over New Hampshire. They've done some beautiful schools all over New Hampshire. And I guess I'll quote Mr. Lynch once again, change is hard, but change can be good. I'll also remind you that before LaValle Brensinger, Frank Bernace designed all of our schools, and there was a point where we said, all right, well, we have enough Frank Bernace schools in the district, let's put some LaValle schools in the district. And perhaps we're at the point now where we could look at some Banwell schools in the district.
You don't need a motion for that, do you?
No, sir, I'm just putting this in, I'm kind of recommending that, and like I said, this committee obviously can do whatever you like. We can discuss this further now, we could discuss it further in 5 years, you could discuss it at full board. You could ask for Banwell to come make a presentation. I'm sure they would be happy to do that. You could ask for any of the architects to come make a presentation.
The only thing that I would want to, with any architect we went through, in the future is any omissions made through the bid process that they're on the hook for, and not us. So there was in a previous project, a lot of our engineering omissions, and in projects I've done on my own, that was not on the hook of myself, that was on the hook of the actual contractor, the GC in that case. So that would be just something I would urge to make sure it's very clear, make sure that they dot the i's and cross the t's, because we don't want to deal with that, right? I mean, unless it's like, oh, whoops, shearing walls, but that's a different story.
Well, there's a difference between unforeseens and errors and omissions.
Correct, right.
I would argue that, and this is reflective of no one's work, I'm not making a comment about anybody when I say this, but there are some errors, there are some unforeseens that perhaps should have been foreseen.
Yes,
I'll put it that way.
and that's where I'm alluding to.
Yes, sir. I am,
I know you
we
know
are
what I'm
of one
talking
mind.
about, so,
We've had a long-standing relationship with LaValle, and I understand change is hard, and I get that. If this is your recommendation, I fully believe it's the right one for this district. If you and Mr. Rapucci did your homework, fine. But I think it's important that we hear from them what they see and understand what they're dealing with. Rochester is an anomaly in comparison to most other cities. So I'd like to see what they have to present, like what do they bring to the table?
You would like Banwell to come present to, I will await instructions, building committee, you're
Yep.
asking. Well, I will have, I'm sure they'll be happy to be here in September.
I think that the only thing that we're trying to prepare, as Mr. Toddy mentioned, is that should we choose to get involved in building aid or a project, thank you, that was what I was going to allude to. So we kind of need to be prepared for this timeline. As I think I shared this in a recent update, it's just a matter of these years, just add two to the end of the year, then those deadlines become real if and when building aid were to become available.
Okay.
so we need to have a project planned and ready to go, am I reading this right, by January?
No.
And basically, we would have a thought that we would want
That's a
to
letter of
apply.
intent, right?
Yeah, so it's more of an informal letter of intent. And then really, when we get a little later, you have to have like a formal plan, which is why you need an architect to do so.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I'll add to that, sir. There's possibility of ESSER funding contributing to construction, then that also has a shelf life similar to this grant has a shelf life and dates that we're at the start line. It's time to make some decisions.
We can combine funding?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be.
We're hoping.
That would be the way to do it. So the sense of urgency is based on that. We've had this conversation, Audrey, you and I have been doing this forever, talking about this specifically, reduction of modulars and what do we do with small schools. And if there's a way for us to take advantage of a situation where we can put a perfect storm together and reduce the overall burden of the taxpayer in the city, we should be cognizant of that and move forward as proactively as we can.
I agree.
I think in lieu of that statement, knowing where we are and all the research that 5-year did, we can substantiate both sides of the argument. So it's not argument, but the discussion, very simplistically.
Okay.
So I think it's imperative that we continue to roll that ball. And 5-year we did the GSA, is that the right acronym?
GSI.
GSI, sorry, thank you. We did GSI surveys and we went through all that, and the city was phenomenal. So this is not a conversation we haven't had, so
Right.
everyone's aware of it. But I think now with the potential of all those things falling into place for us, we should probably keep moving that ball a little effectively, a little more effectively.
Good. So where do we want to go from here?
September, have them present
Yeah,
to
they'll
us
present.
so we can see our
Yeah,
options.
I'd like to see what they've done and what they have to bring to the table.
I guess my only question, how do they, if we don't give them an idea of what we want, how would they come in? Because we haven't nailed down
We
whether we
don't have
want
any
to do
concepts.
an
Right.
expansion or whether we want to build a new building.
Right. Why?
I think they could probably share some of the things they shared with us. We were with them for quite some
Okay.
time, and maybe we could say, you know, we may be looking to do a new building, so could you show us a few? And could you show us a rental project or an expansion? And they can show us their processes on both of
Okay.
those.
All right. So do we want to make a motion to move that forward,
Do you
or?
think we need to do that yet, do you?
You just direct
Don't think you need a motion.
Yeah, I
Just
think at
invite
this
a
point,
speaker.
if we get a weird, I'm sure it's gonna go fine, but let's hear what they have to say, and then we can make a decision. We can continue to kick the ball down the field between Pioneer and building, just to make sure the conversation stays alive, but let's hear what they have to say.
I'm all for spending money that doesn't come out of the taxpayers
I agree 100%, and we cognizant of that.
directly. It's all
Yeah.
indirect.
Indirectly,
Yeah.
they already paid it, yeah.
Oh, it's like getting a tech center for free, right? They'll be our tech center, it didn't cost anybody anything.
All right.
Well,
So,
almost.
another other. Who had the other?
I had the other. It's kudos to Mr. Toddy's facilities guys. The soccer program's been playing on the side field, and the field looks amazing. And they've been supportive and communicative and really, really helpful. So the boosters haven't had to scramble. It's been really nice with trying to make sure all the kids are there and do all that stuff. They've done a phenomenal job. So the soccer program, I want to say thank you for all the help, and everything's been flawless. The lines are perfect every time, the grass is cut every time. It's worked out really, really well, so.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass that on. I'll remind you that the ground crew was employee of the month.
I remember, now we know why.
Just real quick, Audrey.
Yes.
I walked the paving project over at the middle school. I think we will have less of a puddling issue after that was done, so it looks very nice.
Did you see, we're building the shoulders out with the loom. Did you see that?
That wasn't done yet, they were still just,
Working on it.
the water trucks just took care of that on a Saturday morning. They're still there, and I was walking around checking it out, so.
Cool. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.